Today we're with Connecticut Citizens Defense League Outreach Coordinator Dr. Walt Kupson. Stay tuned to hear about the program and how the program works for Connecticut gun owners. Welcome to Lock and Load Podcast. My name is Josh.
And I'm Michelle.
And we're here today to talk to you about Connecticut 2A issues. This is sponsored by Lock and Load Firearms and Patriot Wear Holsters. You can find more about us in our link tree, linktr.ee/LNL podcast. All right, we're going to jump into this. So why don't we give a little bio about Walt? So, Walt, why don't you tell us about yourself?
All right. My name is Dr. Walt Kupson. I live in Middlebury and been a CCDL member for quite a long time. And now I'm a member of the executive committee and the outreach coordinator. I have 3 grown kids and a wonderful wife and 3 cats. And I like guns. All sorts of guns.
No dogs?
No,
Cats?
no dogs.
He
no
likes
dogs.
his cats.
Cats.
Okay.
I'm a cats guy.
I'm allergic to cats.
Oh,
Fun
okay.
fact for you. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
Interesting.
Yeah.
like highly allergic. So that's fun.
Okay.
Right? Fun facts you learn on the podcast. Right? Write that
Do
down.
not invite Josh over
Yeah.
for dinner.
Right.
Okay. Noted.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
So we have some questions that we're going to go through today. We're going to try to keep this to about a half hour like we do on our other podcast. If it goes over, it goes over. We'll get definitely to the half hour mark. So can you provide an overview? Well, what is CCDL? So why don't we start there?
Let's start with the basics, right? So CCDL is Connecticut Citizens Defense League. It is a nonpartisan, all-volunteer organization founded in, is it 2009? Did I remember that right?
I believe so.
I believe so. All-volunteer Second Amendment advocacy group in Connecticut. We have up to 43,000 members at this point, and growing. And we are a legislative action group, and we are there to help promote and try to protect the Second Amendment rights of citizens in the state of Connecticut, which unfortunately is a big job.
Okay.
You also try to educate gun owners as far as what's coming out, correct?
Exactly right. So we also educate them. So we watch laws, we fight bad gun laws, and we try to educate our members and non-members, all gun owners, on what is coming down the pike, what can be done to preserve their Second Amendment rights, promoting gun safety, etc.
All right. How does somebody join CCDL?
Oh, it's super easy. So one of the first questions I usually get asked is, how much does it cost? And the answer is, membership in CCDL has always been free. You just go to ccdl.us and put in your information, and boom, you're now a member. And then we'll send you an email. And now we do have now tiered membership, which is a tremendous thing, where there is a small amount that you pay, and you get a couple nice perks with that, including online access to our monthly meetings, and some fun merchandise stuff as well. But membership has always been free and will continue to be.
Yeah, so if you can't make those meetings for whatever reason, you work too much, right?
Yeah.
That the lower paid tier allows you to access those online during the meeting, so you can go and watch it then.
Correct.
So that's always a great option. And then there's obviously like the more expensive ones that get you a lot of merchandise.
Yeah.
And that lifetime membership one.
Oh, lifetime membership.
Do you know how many lifetime there are? How many members?
I want to say like maybe 20 or so, but I'm not really sure.
It's a good chunk of change.
It's a good chunk of change, and it's been whether we sell merchandise or whether we have tiered membership, all of that money goes to fund the fight, right? Because
it's expenses.
It's expenses. I mean, we're talking about all these lawsuits that we're filing, and those things cost a lot of money.
Yeah.
So the money goes to a very, very good cause and is very carefully looked after.
Yeah. Well, I think people don't even just understand, like, there's just normal operating expenses.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I mean, just paying for a website and maintaining that is expensive.
Our
credit card fees.
Right, our rental for, our meetings,
Yep.
everything else that has to go into play, the website, cameras,
office.
Yeah.
the office, okay?
Yep.
We just built a CCDL headquarters, which is the first time we've ever had a physical space. It used to be that all CCDL business was conducted in the back hall of VFW to, or in
out of a
someone's
car.
Out of a car,
home.
a storage unit, a home. And now for the first time, we have an actual physical CCDL headquarters, which is really exciting.
Yeah.
A place where we can meet, where visitors from out of town, let's say someone from another organization is coming to meet with us, we have a place now.
Yeah. So can you give an overview of the outreach program? Because that's what you do.
Sure, absolutely. So, with CCDL having 43,000 members, a lot of the work is done by the board and the executive committee. Well, we're all volunteers. We're moms, we're dads, we have jobs.
Cat owners.
Cat owners, exactly. Sometimes we even have enough time to get out to the range, but not so much. And so rather than having a small core of group of people try to do all the work and keep an eye on the state and do all the things that need to be done to advocate for Second Amendment rights, we have developed the outreach program. And the whole idea is everyone has something to give, but everyone has to give a little something. So let's leverage those 43,000 members, and if everybody just a little bit of something, think how much more powerful we would be as a Second Amendment advocacy group in the state of Connecticut. So we've divided the state up into 5 regions, and there are 169 towns in the state of Connecticut.
Wow.
So imagine
A lot.
if out of 43,000 people, or 43,000 people in the CCDL, if only one person signed up, in one person in each of the towns, and kept an eye on what was going on locally and got involved in defending Second Amendment ordinances in their town level, getting involved in elections, visiting gun stores, visiting gun clubs, how much more powerful we would be. And that's 169 people out of 43,000.
Yeah.
So
Right.
I have a question. So from the inception until now, have we been able to cover all those towns so far?
We have not. We have not. And so we're always looking for new talent. People have busy lives, and we get that. But we're still looking for lots of members. And there's something for everyone to do, right? Some people say, well, I don't really have a gun store that I go to, or I'm not good at writing letters to the editor, or I'm not very politically involved. There's something for everyone to do. And most people say, I remember for years, people would come up to all of us and say, I want to do something, but I just don't know what it is that I can do. I don't have any direction. Well, that's where the outreach program comes in.
Yeah.
All right. Because each of these 169 town captains report up to area managers, and those area managers report up to one of 5 regional managers. We've divided the state up into 5, and all of those 5 regional managers report up to me, the outreach coordinator, and I'm a member of the executive committee. So what I liken this to is like a tree,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. You
So-
got the root, the grassroots, literally.
Right. So CCDL is a big old tree. It's a big old trunk. It's got roots. And that trunk, that tree can't exist or grow without leaves at the very top. And what are those leaves doing? They're gathering sunshine. They're gathering data. They're gathering information and feeding it down to the trunk. But those leaves and those branches can't exist if that trunk is not stable and is not growing. So information goes up and down the tree, and that's how we grow, and that's how we fight to maintain our Second Amendment rights.
That's a very interesting way of looking at that.
Yeah,
I like the analogy.
yeah.
So if somebody's watching this
Mhm.
and they decide that they want to see if there's something that might be suitable for them, how would they reach you?
So a couple ways. You can learn more about the outreach program and actually find out your town and identify your regional managers and contact them by going on the CCDL website, ccdl.us, or you want to go straight to the source, you can just email me at outreach@ccdl.us. We'll have a conversation. We'll find out what town you're in. I will connect you with the regional manager. We'll work together, and we'll see what you can do to offer the cause, because we need people out there working for the cause.
So if you need those links, we're going to put them in our link tree for you. That'll directly link you to CCDL's website, and we'll also put Walt's contact information for his email in there as well. So check the little link in the bio of the video for wherever you're watching this. The outreach program, what specific needs or challenges does it aim to address within like the firearm ownership community?
Right. So probably one of the notwithstanding elections, one of the most important duties of outreach is keeping an eye on local ordinances. So people tend to think of anti-gun bills or ordinances or laws coming from Hartford, and they do, but a surprising amount of these things actually come on the local level. So you'll get people who, anti-gunners who are looking to propose anti-gun bills in their little towns. And they usually go through either a planning and zoning committee, sometimes a police commission, sometimes the board of selectmen. And these are where these ideas are perpetuated. And without outreach, it's a crapshoot as to whether CCDL and the board will ever find out about it. That's what outreach does. So if you're a town captain in any town in Connecticut, you're listening out for your town's events and looking out for their agendas and seeing if there's anything proposed that's anti-gun. And the outreach program has been exceptionally successful at stopping these local ordinances. So, for instance, they're usually noise ordinances, which are really veiled and directed against guns. There are occasionally restrictions on open carrying, but that was old, restrictions on gun-free zones or trying to establish gun-free zones. And the outreach program has learned about these small ordinances that they probably thought would go undetected by us because one person decided to pay attention.
Yeah, you had a case recently. I don't remember what the town was. I remember seeing it on the Facebook page, though. And like the town hall or wherever, maybe it was planning and zoning or something, it was jam-packed with you guys in there. Where was that?
That could have been any number of towns that we've dealt with in the last few. So the most recent one was in Oxford.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah,
so
that sounds
yeah.
familiar.
So a person was shooting on their private property quite safely, and a neighbor decided that they didn't really like that, and they were proposing a noise ordinance. That's usually how it goes. And we had an amazing turnout. The room was jam-packed. And the way it usually goes is, CCDL will show up, gun owners will show up, and the members of that commission will look at a crowded room and go, we're not doing this.
Yeah.
We're not doing this. And we've been very successful at shutting down. I think our success rate is 100%. We have shut down anti-gun ordinances in all places, if you can believe it. In Newtown, Connecticut.
Yeah.
We've had anti-gun ordinances proposed by Newtown Action Alliance, and we have smoked them repeatedly and shut them down.
Well, look at the one up in Kent. That was trying to stop
Right.
gun stores from being
Right.
open in their town. They wanted it in a small industrial area. And the thing is, when you go and show up, the show and force is good because they have a lot of people. They won't always let you speak if you're not from that town, but still standing there in solidarity makes a big difference as long as you hold yourself to a certain standard so you don't become the problem.
Right. And it's not just a matter of numbers. It's also just a matter of expertise. So if gun owners don't show up, if CCDL members don't show up, then the conversation is we don't like guns, we're afraid of guns, we want to ban guns. And then when a actual gun owner, someone with credentials, they're a pistol instructor, they're a veteran, they're a police officer, they're a mom, they show up and they talk about the facts.
Yeah.
And they set the record straight. And then the members of that committee go, wow, there's no good reason to support this ordinance.
Well, they're also worried about their jobs,
They're
too.
worried about their jobs.
When they see all
Exactly.
these people
Yeah.
in their town show up and they go, oh, this may not be good for me.
and it's not hard to keep an eye on these things. I mean, most towns have an alert system. So you Google your town's website, and then you sign up for email alerts. And we usually recommend that people you sign up for email alerts from usually the planning and zoning, board of selectmen, and the agendas go out once a month. I'll be sitting on my couch with a cat on my lap. And I'll pull up my cell phone and I'll open the agenda from whatever town. And because I'm the outreach coordinator, I subscribe to probably a dozen or more, and I need to do more of them. I read the agenda real quick and go, nothing anti-gun. I'm done.
Yep.
And if you're a town captain, you see something anti-gun, you alert your regional manager. That regional manager alerts me. We take it to the board. We decide what action, how what kind of action we want to take at a certain time. And we fire up the engines if we need to.
Well, and this also helps to keep an eye on the people in the town politics, because usually the town politics are the people that are being promoted up and eventually hit state politics.
Exactly.
So you kind of have a good, instead of guessing as to who they are, if you've been watching them and you have people in that town, you'll get good feedback on whether or not this is a campaign or if they really believe what they say they believe.
And this opens the door for us to be more offensive than defensive. So it's one thing to bat down and successfully bat down, but it's one thing to bat down and play defense on the town level. But when you start going to these meetings, getting to know who the players are, you start getting more involved in local politics. These folks who are on boards and in towns, eventually, as you said, are going to probably pursue other higher positions. Those are the nascent politicians that are going to be up at Hartford proposing anti-gun bills. So you start to get to know who the players are. You get a little bit more politically involved. You support the campaigns of those who are pro-gun, and you do everything you can to fight the campaigns of those who are anti-gun.
It sounds like a lot, but at the end of the day, it's a lot with very little effort, from what I see.
Yeah, people often ask me, well, okay, I'm interested in doing something. I'm interested in becoming a town captain, but gosh, I'm a single mom. I work 2 jobs. How much time is this going to take? And I literally say, it can be up to an hour a month. That's it. And that's probably maximum. Most of it is just going on your phone, checking your emails, having a monthly meeting either in person in Zoom or Zoom with your regional manager. It doesn't take much time. And again, if we had one person in each of our 169 towns.
Not a lot of time with a very big impact.
Not a lot of time with a very big impact with a very small number of people out of 43,000 members.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have the numbers. I mean, they have the numbers there. They just need to get involved.
Gun owners in Connecticut have the numbers. This country was won on 3%. Last I checked, this state had like 8% gun ownership. They just need to get involved.
What are we doing, guys?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you kind of shared some success stories there. So we'll move on from that one. How does outreach do they collaborate with any other organizations or anything in Connecticut to further its goals or initiatives?
Absolutely. So one of the other tasks of outreach is to reach out, and so we go to where the gun owners are. So those are going to be gun stores, and those are going to be gun clubs, right? So we want to. One of the other tasks of outreach is, if you're a town captain, is you're already going to a gun store. You're already buying ammo. Get to know the owner. Hi, Josh.
Hi, how you doing?
Hi, good. And you get to know the owner, and you start strike up conversations, and you buy a box of ammo, and I come in next week and buy another box of ammo and maybe a scope or a gun, and basically, hey, listen, you support CCDL. We've talked to you, and would you mind if we put some pamphlets here in our store? And would you be so generous as to allow us to put a donation box because we need funds to fight the fight? And that's how we, so then a new gun owner comes into a gun store and sees something about CCDL and asks the gun store owner, what's this CCDL? I see the stickers. And that opens up the conversation. And same thing with our gun clubs. So, you go to a gun club, and I'm astounded at the number and dismayed and astounded at the number of gun owners and members of gun clubs who either don't know about CCDL or have no idea what's going on at the state.
There's a lot of people that have no idea what's going on.
A lot of people.
I still get questions about others, and they've been banned since, June?
I get questions about people who go, what do you mean I can't have my standard capacity magazine?
Or threaded barrels.
But that's back from Sandy Hook time.
What do you mean I can't just go buy a box of birdshot for hunting season?
With no permit.
With no permit. When did that happen? Right? And so outreach's job is to go to these gun clubs, and, if you're a member of a gun club, it's easy, right? I'm a member at a few gun clubs. You get
Most
to
of us are.
Most of us are, right? Most of us are. So you're going to the meetings anyways. You know who the board is. You know who's running the meeting. You strike up conversations with these folks. You get a sense of how willing they are, how much they support CCDL. My gun club board is incredibly supportive of CCDL. And gun clubs are always looking for content for newsletters. They're starving for content. And even if you're not a writer, contact me. We'll put something in their newsletter, and that gets the message out to gun owners and sparks conversations and questions. Eventually, you may even be called up every month to give updates at your gun club, and that's how we reach people.
Yeah. I remember when I think it was Ray Beavis, who was the first CCDL person that came into the store, and then talked and then connected with you, which you end up driving by here most of your time on the way to work or something.
All the time.
So then you're in here, every now and again, and then Chris Patel.
Chris Patel. Yep.
Well, and Holly's been in your store,
Yep.
right?
Yeah, a few times, especially during the lower crisis.
Yeah.
We'll call it a lower crisis. That's should have breaking news on that, right?
You've had
during
quite
that
a
time.
few
Yeah.
committee members and or board members. come in.
Yeah, Beth was in here too when we did the email or the writing to your legislators. A few people. So yeah, no, we have plenty of people that stop in. I know I've sent you to other gun stores too. That I'm like, hey, you should go check out this guy. He's new.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So and it's word of mouth. Right?
It's
getting it
word
out
of
there.
mouth. Yeah.
We're not all on social media all the time. Okay.
Some aren't at all.
Yeah, like Michelle.
I am, but I
I'm on there
don't
more
live
than
on it.
Yeah, I'm on there more than I want to be honest.
Didn't I see you on TikTok, Michelle? Do a little dance?
No,
No.
that wasn't me.
It was just some other lady that had red hair.
Yeah.
Grandma.
That's an inside joke. That's a funny one, though. We'll have to tell Walt that afterwards. But yeah, I think the donation boxes work great, as long as you tell them about them.
Yep.
So there's that too. Here, we started that CCDL roundup, which was not my idea. I will give Zach Mealy credit every time because it was his idea. I implemented the idea, so I'll take that credit, I guess.
And Zach Mealy is a member of Outreach.
Yeah.
Right?
So he came up with the idea. He's like, oh, could you do that? And I was like, I thought about it. And I'm like, all right, let me go mess around in the POS system and then figured out how to do it in, 10 minutes.
So it automatically does it for you?
No, not automatically. But basically, I made a button as a non-revenue item for a quarter, a dime, a nickel, and a penny. And then we're like, hey, do you want to round up to your change to support CCDL?
Okay.
Simple question, right? And they say yes or no. No, no big deal, whatever.
Right.
Yes, right? And it's 75 cents. Cool. I just hit the little quarter button, boom. And then when I run a report every month, it goes into a separate little line item, and then I just cut a check. Here you go.
That's amazing, and we appreciate that
awesome.
so very much.
That's awesome.
Because lawsuits, unfortunately, are very expensive.
Yeah.
They are.
Plus, then, people that are paying with cash or whatever, because that's a way for them to round up with a credit card.
Right.
And again, about, I'll say 75% credit cards to cash on average. So you can't throw $1 credit card in, but you can add $1 onto your overall charge. So that's where I think a lot has come into play too. Brian always is like, hey, you want to add $2? Brian pushes the envelope a little bit there.
Well, at the end
but
of
it works.
At the end of the day, okay, and a lot of people, they think a donation, if you ask for a donation, they're thinking, oh, okay, now I've got to come up with $10 or $25 or $50 or whatever the case may be.
It could be 3 cents.
Well, because we get other organizations that reach out to us and we get that little sheet and it's all big dollars. I was taught growing up by my grandfather who went through the Depression, every penny counts, okay? So if you can just give, $1, it does add up. If you had all 43,000 of those members give $1, that's $43,000. Now,
think about $1 a month.
Well, and is that enough to launch these lawsuits that we're doing? Probably not, because we all know Tong, our AG, has no problem having lawsuits hit him because he figures we as taxpayers also pay to defend this.
Isn't that a kicker?
Oh, yes.
Isn't that a kicker?
So,
unlimited funds, and we're giving it to them.
Correct. We're fighting on both sides, which sucks. But, if we can get people that would do that, then we can have stronger, better lawsuits. Not that the ones we have aren't good, but we can continue to do that. And that's what we need.
Yeah.
People are always like, I don't know, we just keep losing. Right. And I get that, because I'm just as frustrated as everybody else. But the way I look at it is I have to be able to put my foot where my mouth is. And if I want to complain and bitch and go on and on about it, I have to be able to fight also.
Yeah.
So as long as I'm fighting, I have the ability to do that.
That goes back to like people not voting and then complaining about politics.
Exactly.
Like, you can complain if you go and vote.
Right.
Otherwise,
if you didn't
sorry,
vote, I don't want to hear about it.
So, and even if you don't have the financial aspects to go and do that, volunteer time, right? Just like Walt said with the outreach aspect, go to your town meeting, just sign up for their alerts and get the agendas, and then reach out to a captain, town captain.
Yeah, well, town captain, yeah.
Okay.
Anyone in outreach.
That's how I got involved with CCDL. I didn't have a lot of cash. We were strapped when I first got involved. And I figured my time, because I couldn't do money, so maybe my time would at least, value and help out in that aspect. So that's why I got involved that way. And then I started doing money and time.
Yeah.
What's that saying? You can give three things to a cause: time, treasure, or talent.
Yes.
Okay. So, and anything you can give. And you may be really good at writing letters to the editor or not.
Right.
You may be really good at running, helping to run a campaign or not. You might be really good at synthesizing data and gathering data or not.
Or just like
anything.
And I can't think of his name off the top of my head, but the guy who does all the logo stuff.
Yeah.
Like, that's his talent.
That's his
his
talent.
normal job, and he's donating that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Luke. Okay.
Yeah.
I met him once.
He's a good
maybe
guy.
Twice.
He's a good guy.
So, it doesn't have to be money. It doesn't have to be that much time either, but the talent aspect. If you're an expert in this field, and, in whatever field it may be, social media all the way down to, I don't know, accounting even or something like that, right?
There's all kinds
all
of
sorts.
needs that are out there.
And again, that gets back to the comment that we've been hearing for forever. I want to do something, I just don't know what to do. Come to outreach.
Yeah.
Okay. We will find something. We will guide you. Even if you don't know how to do something, or you're let's say you decide you want to speak at your gun club, but maybe you're not that good at public speaking. I'll join you. All right. We'll have a buddy system. I'll be your battle buddy. Yeah. I'll stand up there with you. I'll either give the talk and you can stand there with me. I'll let you talk and I'll back you up. There's that support, right?
And if you do it enough, you get better at it, and you get used to it because it just becomes normal.
Absolutely. And it's in order to fight this fight, we all have to get outside of our comfort zone. I don't like politics. I don't find working on a campaign very fun, but I do it because I have to.
They need our support.
They need our support,
Yeah. So, do you do any activities or events to promote responsible gun ownership or like advocate for Second Amendment rights?
Absolutely. So, what we've done most recently, so we started going to gun stores, gun shows, excuse me.
Oh, yeah.
So for quite a number of years now, we've been attending the Connecticut Gun Guild Gun Show. They love having us there. We love being there.
Yeah, we see your lives.
Yeah, always see our lives. We love going to the Stratford Gun Collectors Gun Show. And again, you're going to where the gun owners are. And, certain percentage have heard of CCDL and have been very involved. Others have never heard about it at all. And others are in the middle. I remember being
always baffles me that we've been around this long. CCDL has been around this long, and people still don't know who they are.
I remember being at the Stratford Gun Collectors Gun Show, and a person who had just moved from New York, and he said, "Wow, I can't believe how good you guys have it in Connecticut as a gun owner." And that was interesting.
People from Connecticut don't really realize like what happens in other states, like. What's going on in Massachusetts? Massachusetts right now is horrible. New York is bad. Rhode Island's bad.
California.
Jersey's bad. Yeah, well, California
bad.
is always
It's
bad.
weird. It depends on where you're balancing, like what part of the laws in gun laws that you're looking at. Some we're actually really good compared to other states.
Yeah, with like the handguns you can buy.
Right.
Really good compared to Mass and California.
But then there's other things where we're not as good, or we're on par with all those other anti-gun states.
Because like Mass, you can buy I'm not going to use the term, I hate it, so I'll just say the cool rifles.
Yes.
As long as they're not an AR or an AK.
They've now, right now
they're trying to go after those now.
Yes. Now, like their newest is just. Oh.
Yeah. I think they just had a public hearing on that yesterday. I believe
It's from what I've been understanding and who I've been talking to, it's gonna go through. But goal, which is CCDL's kind of. Goal is what Massachusetts does.
They're our
CCDL's
neighbor.
in Connecticut.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Goal is already ready to run with it.
I'm going to put you on the spot. What's GOAL stand for? Because I have no idea.
It's Gun Owners
Action League.
Is it Action League?
There you go.
I'm pretty sure
Walt
it's
with the
Action League.
save.
Thank
That
you.
sounds good.
Yeah.
Gun Owners Action League. There you go.
It's something. But I know they've always been very. Again, Massachusetts for a long time was much better than we were, and Goal did a lot there. Now they're being put to the test the way CCDL has been put to the test for a few years.
And we learn from each other,
Yes.
We watch what's going on all across the country. We watch what's going on with our neighbors in Massachusetts. Our president, Holly Sullivan, has done a phenomenal job networking with people all across the country. And so sometimes people will say, well, for instance, like CCDL just won at GRPC, the Gun Rights Policy Conference. The Citizens Committee for the Right to Keep and Bear Arms awarded CCDL the 2023 Grassroots Organization of the Year. Now, that doesn't mean we always win. It doesn't mean, but we're fighting really hard. We're working really, really hard at things. And people will say, well, that's great, but what does that do for us? And the answer is, well, we're getting to be known across the country. We're getting to be known by Goal. We're known by the Second Amendment Foundation, Firearms Policy Coalition. And the stronger we are together, the stronger we are. And in fact, the Second Amendment Foundation is our co-organization in our lawsuit Grant versus Lamont. That's huge. Mm-hmm. That's huge. That's 50% of the bill that Connecticut gun owners don't have to foot.
I cannot wait to get Eddie Grant on here.
Oh, Eddie's great.
Eddie has confirmed for once he is allowed to from his lawyers.
Yay!
So
Eddie
that
is
may be a
amazing.
long time from now, unfortunately. But I will love to have a conversation with Eddie.
I love Eddie.
Eddie's
on a
great.
podcast aspect. That one definitely will not be a half an hour.
No.
That'll be part 1, 2, 3, and 4.
And he's a fantastic speaker. He's very articulate. He's just an all-around great guy on top of everything else. I love Eddie.
Yeah.
And he buys guns, which is nice too.
He does.
So here's a question. Are there any specific demographics or communities that outreach program focuses on or tailors its efforts towards? And are there any that need more help?
We don't zero in on any particular demographic, but we can definitely use more help in urban centers. And in fact, CCDL has an urban engagement exec named Peter Estrada. And so we could definitely use more help in the cities, especially.
Hope? Was that a...
Well,
I agree with Hope.
that was good.
That was a Freudian slip right there.
We need hope and we need help. So yeah, if you are a gun owner and you are in a large municipality, we want to hear from you. We want your engagement. The odds of getting an anti-gun ordinance proposed in anywhere Southington, okay,
Goshen.
or Kent or Goshen, okay, are good, and they're even stronger probably in a city situation. So. And we talk to, when we do these events, when we do the Connecticut Gun Guild Gun Show, or we'll have people, they come in and I ask them where they're from, and they say Hartford. And I said, well, are you a pistol permit owner? And he goes, no, I didn't know I could get a pistol permit.
Yeah.
Right? And so that's an opportunity to say, oh my gosh, of course you do. Of course you do. And let me tell you about the process. And there are people who don't think that you can even have a gun, especially in urban centers, and that's a shame.
Yeah.
Well, and then you also have, I run into people that say, yes, I have them, but I have to be very careful because of my demographic.
Correct.
And
Yeah, I've had that.
and I, how wrong is that?
So wrong.
So, and I don't know if you have the answer to this question. So, because your urban areas are harder to get into, and because they're not as they don't have the knowledge, as far as gun rights and stuff, they don't think that it pertains to them. Okay, what is the outreach program or CCDL specifically doing to try to bring them in?
Right. So again, we have an urban engagement exec, Peter Estrada. He goes out. He's networking with people in the area, and basically, if I get when we get a request for someone interested in outreach, and I always ask them where they're from, and I had someone at our open carry rally who spoke to me, and I said, "Where are you from?" He said, "Bridgeport." I said,
Awesome.
"This is amazing."
Is that the guy with the shotgun?
No, that was a different gentleman. And I said, "Please give me a call. We can absolutely use you.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
No doubt." So.
Fantastic.
It's just
I
word of
have
mouth.
seen an uptick in pistol permit class takers, students. There we go.
There you go.
Students. That's a big word. From Waterbury.
Oh yeah,
So
no kidding.
I've seen Waterbury with a big little uptick.
Yeah.
New Britain
Purchases
too.
Purchases to Waterbury address.
Yeah.
So Waterbury address was not always an address that you saw a lot. Okay, and I see more and more living in Waterbury buying firearms. So, but the FBI just put out statistics saying that I can't remember what the percentage is, but it's been a huge jump in gun ownership in the
Yeah, I remember
past
seeing the
year.
post.
The largest growing demographic, and I don't know about 2023, but certainly 2021, 2022, the largest increase in pistol permit applications, the largest demographic that saw a rise was black females.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's tremendous.
Yeah.
Thinking back to my classes from 2020, I mean, statistically, it was about 60% to 40% females in general.
Yeah.
Were getting permits.
Yeah.
Now, was that because maybe, their significant others already had a permit and they were getting theirs, or just because?
Either which
but
way,
it
though.
it was weird. Like, I would have an all-girls class one time, not on purpose, not like advertised.
Yeah.
And then, but then it would flip-flop, and there'd be, 20 guys and 3 girls. It was always weird how that randomly ended up, because I've tried the all-female classes before. I don't find them that productive. I don't get great registrations, but
'Cause
Tuesday,
you're not female.
yeah, I'm missing some body parts, I guess. That's as much as we can say without getting canceled. Okay.
But I hear
yeah.
you're very romantic, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He is.
Those boo baskets.
See, so that's how you advertise it. I'll give you a boo basket.
Yeah, no, that was expensive. We're gonna have to increase that cost for that pistol permit class. Then if you get a free boo basket, or it's gonna be one Reese's peanut butter cup. So we are running out of time, but we'll go with one more. So looking ahead, what are the future goals and plans for outreach program, and how do you envision its role in Connecticut rights as an
Advocacy?
Thank you.
Right.
Welcome.
Right. So, the outreach program started up, I think it was about 2019. We were fired up, and then we had the pandemic. And that changed things, and meetings became by Zoom, and it became harder to network with people, and et cetera. So, it kind of stymied us a little bit, but now that things are back to normal, I guess, we're kind of firing things back up.
Just remember there's an election next year.
Yeah, and that's what I'm getting at,
Yeah,
right?
Well, I'm just talking about you never know if it's going to be normal.
Yeah,
Well, and
exactly, right, yeah.
And like you're bringing up, the Zoom kind of separated people.
Yeah, it did.
I tell people all the time, especially new gun owners, to get involved, and I tell them, go to a meeting in person.
Mm-hmm.
The camaraderie, the networking, being in the room with a bunch of like-minded
The
people.
kielbasa
When are-
sandwiches.
Yes.
The kielbasa sandwiches by our members or donating their time. For
When are those
donations.
meetings, Walt? So in case people don't know.
They are always the second Tuesday of the month. They're at the VFW in New Britain, always at 7 p.m. So
Is it a long meeting, though? Because it's on the weekday.
how much time are you willing to invest in your rights, Michelle? So it can be long. It can be about 90 minutes to 2 hours, but it's great content. You will learn all about, what's going on with our lawsuits during legislative session. You'll hear about all the bills that are being proposed. the bill numbers, what you can do about them. And during election season, you get a chance to actually meet some of the candidates. And that's what we're getting to. You were asking about, big things coming up, and the big things are going to be
Let me interject really quick with the meetings. If you can't spend that amount of time, go for a little bit.
Yes.
And then just leave.
Yeah.
People do it all the time. Not everyone gets there on time either.
Right.
It's not like
right.
you get yelled at for
yeah.
walking
No,
out the
absolutely
door.
not. Yeah.
Like, we understand people have lives. They have things to do. So go there for a half hour,
or
45 minutes.
become a tiered member, and for
Yeah.
$25, is it a year?
Yeah, I think so. It's
$25 a year
pretty cheap.
if you have the option, right? So you can show up in person, but let's say you're running late, you have to work like I did yesterday. You can just at least tune in, in the car on the way home and get informed.
Yeah, when I was on vacation in, was it August? We were on our way back from Disney, and I listened to the entire CCDL.
You're always on vacation.
Yeah, well, no, that was rude. But I listened to the entire CCDL meeting on my phone on the bus on the way back to the cruise ship.
Yeah, that's what I did last night on my way home from work.
It's well worth it. You can listen to it, like we said, and that's a definite benefit. But being in the room, I got to tell you, you pick up so much more just being in the room. My first meeting, I walked in, I thought I knew a lot. I had been shooting guns since I was a small child, and I learned so much just by going to those meetings. I've met some absolutely fantastic people that I've lifelong friends.
And I do say to people in my pistol permit class, if you want to go and you don't know anyone there, if you've met me in the store, I normally go to meetings. I will not be there in December. I will be on my honeymoon, but I should be there in November. So send me a message, and I can always meet you outside, walk in, and introduce you to people too, and sit with you so you're not alone. I always offer that. But continuing on.
Yeah, so our focus is definitely going to be on elections, right? We've always talked about how important elections are. And we always talk about how it's important this year, but it really is. So we had an amazing legislative, as bad as 6667 was. And
there were worse things.
And we were able to cut out almost half of it, if you can believe that.
Yeah.
And we had more than 4,000 testimonies against it versus 300 for it. And yet it still passed. And why? Well, because the honest truth is we're outnumbered.
Yeah, they can do it.
They can do it. And
They can jam it through.
They can jam it through. And so this is why elections are going to be so important. There was a time in Connecticut where the anti-guns and the pro-gun legislators were about 50-50.
Yeah, I mean, when the Senate was 50-50.
Yeah, that's not the case anymore. And so the laser focus for outreach and for CCDL is going to be on elections, November of 2024. We must flip seats, and we're going to gather all the outreach folks together and get them working.
I personally know I will be focusing on the seat that pertains to this store without using numbers or names. Myself and Matt Strasser and Sean, one of my regulars, are very laser focused on that one.
Yeah.
The individual may have only won by one vote. So I think we can, as long as the other side puts up a good candidate, I can go and flip that vote.
Well,
I'm hoping.
And then you have the other side. So right after election, you run straight into testimony and new bills. So like having 4,000 testimonials is awesome. Like that's huge compared to what you used to have. But again, 300,000 plus permitted gun owners in this state. It doesn't take much to send an email. Most of them will complain on Facebook, but will not send an email. And if you end up having numbers like 100,000, 300,000, that may make somebody's head spin.
Yeah.
4,000, they can go, because there's still a lot of people in Connecticut.
Yeah,
we need the people. We need the voices.
It was definitely a contradiction because on the one hand, we were celebrating the fact that we smashed records with 4,000 testimonies. Right, we smashed it, and because we went out to gun stores, we went out to gun clubs, we gathered real testimonies, but yet 4,000 people out of 43,000 is not that great.
And however many actual permit holders there are in Connecticut too.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And then you have all the ones that don't have permits that were grandfathered in prior to with their long guns, and they just never went out and got a permit. There's a lot of gun owners in this state. There's more than what people realize, and we need to mobilize and get everybody involved.
Yeah, and the gun store owners need to do this too. I have said it. I get controversy for that, and that's fine. But that's how you engage your customers, and that's how you engage the base, right? If you got people coming in every week, every other week, well, tell them, right? Have them follow CCDL on Facebook. Have them sign up. And then legislative time, have people being able to write testimony. We did it last year. We did it the year before. Take a couple laptops from home, bring them in, set them up, and then have somebody come in and help, right? If I'm too busy because I'm short-staffed or whatever, we've had volunteers from CCDL come in and then help them, and talk to them and explain like what's going on, what the proposed bills are,
What they're signing.
Yeah. Well, what they're writing too.
Yes.
I know they're last year, and I will assume it's going to be the same this year because they did change the format. That it made it, I think, a little bit easier because they made a form instead of writing an email. It was just you filled out the form.
Yep.
So I think that was a little bit easier writing for people because it was a lot of clicking and then typing.
Yep.
Instead of like trying to get the email right and sending it from your email or attaching something. So we'll definitely do that again. When that comes up again.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't get involved, you're not going to have a gun store. You're not going to have a gun club. It'll become a fishing club.
Especially what they're doing now with all the FFLs.
Oh yeah,
and the dealer things that they've all put on us.
I mean, the last minute thing about having to do the inventory. Now, I talked about it in the podcast a couple episodes ago. Like I do one every month. I don't know if everyone got theirs done.
But there's also the commission now can also come in and audit you as many times and as often as they choose. So it's just food for thought. And, the average bear would go, so how often are they going to do that? But if they decide that they have a bug up their butt,
dog with a bone,
and they decide that the way, they can't actually ban the Second Amendment, but they could limit where you can purchase said firearms.
And a little at a time, incrementalism.
Yeah, it was a death by 1,000 slices or something.
And that's why we need people getting involved, knowing what's going on. Even with this bill that passed, everybody was worried about the banned guns. And, oh my gosh, okay, so what does that mean? They missed the open carry part.
Yep.
They missed what was going on with the FFLs because the FFLs, it didn't bother me. That doesn't have anything to do with me. Well, if you buy guns at a gun store, it actually does have something to do with you.
Well, no, it just costs more too. The established gun stores, is it going to hurt us that much? No, the extra $200 every 4 years from the local.
But it's still $200.
It's still $200. But does that hurt somebody starting?
Yes.
Does
Yes.
that hurt a home-based FFL?
Yes.
Definitely. They tax us enough, and it's more taxes.
No, it's all across the board.
All right. Well, we are way over schedule for time.
Sorry.
So I hope you guys all stayed and enjoyed the episode. So our guest today was Dr. Walt Kupson, the outreach coordinator for Connecticut Citizens Defense League.
Thank you, Walt.
Thank you for having me.
This episode was sponsored by Patriot Rare Holsters and Lock and Load Firearms. Anything you want to say, Walt, before we end up?
Again, if you're interested in learning more about the outreach program, talk to me directly or any of the regional managers, but I can be reached at outreach@ccdl.us. If not you, who? And if not right now, when? Thanks for having me.
My name's Josh.
I'm Michelle.
And thanks for viewing today, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.